Hello, this is Nicole Allos from Socratyc, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and introduce the new WorkSmart program connected with Everything DiSC and Catalyst. So I've talked to most of my clients about WorkSmart. We've gone into a couple modules and now it's live. So I wanted to just give you a sense of what to do to be able to get the facilitation kit, what the experience might look like from a learner perspective, and what the experience would be from a facilitator perspective. So as a quick reminder, WorkSmart is developed for managers. So it could be supervisors all the way up to C-level executives who might be struggling with some of the day-to-day tactical pieces of managing others. And there are 5 modules that now will live in Catalyst. Someone needs to have a basis for the DiSC profile, so they need to at least have gone through a short overview of the workplace program. They need to be in Catalyst. So for some of you, it might mean that you need to upgrade from the traditional program, which is free for right now until the end of the year. Once they're in Catalyst, and once you've turned on WorkSmart for them, which will be 10 credits from now until the end of July, and then 20 credits moving forward, they'll log in and they'll see this little tab of Discover WorkSmart. And then you'll see 5 different facilitated trainings. So those 10 credits in July and 20 credits after that will give you access to all 5. You, at this point, can't pick and choose which ones you're purchasing, but my understanding is that in the future, you'll be able to pick and choose which ones they'll be able to see. Giving constructive feedback, managing conflict, empowering your team, helping your team navigate change, and finally motivating your team. So you'll see that 3 of the 5 are up and ready to conflict and empowering your team. The other 2 will be available within the next 30 to 45 days. However, the facilitation kits are available for all 5. So let's take a look at what the process would be. So the first thing you'd want to do is come to the Everything DiSC product registration page, register.everythingdisc.com, and you'll need to enter in your serial number from your Catalyst kit or your workplace kit. Once you add in the serial number, you'll have access for free to the 5 facilitation kits for the 5 modules. So basically, it's just an additional folder from the Catalyst download. So you'll put in the serial number, download the materials, and it'll look something like this. So here's the example for the giving constructive feedback facilitation guide. Gives you a sense of, amount of time. It goes into the planning, estimated time, and breakout sessions and things like this. So this is very similar to traditional facilitation scripts as well. It'll tell you exactly what you should say, or at least provide a guide for you to be able to facilitate this to others. I mention this because you don't necessarily have to be a certified facilitator to be effective in running this training. It's very turnkey, so it tells you exactly what to say and it tells you exactly how to click. So, I think someone who has a strong knowledge of DiSC, maybe a functional leader, maybe someone within HR, might be able to facilitate these as well. So you have the facilitation kit, you're in the facilitation, you're then going to ask everyone to go into their own Catalyst platform, okay? And then you'll ask them to click on Discover WorkSmart. And again, we're doing the giving constructive feedback session. So we'll have everyone click on that section. And what you'll see is on the very bottom, this is slide 1 of 19. So your learner will click through their guide or their Catalyst platform. So you don't necessarily need to share your screen on Zoom, or you can, but the goal is that they'll be working through their own examples. And the value of that is they're not looking at general examples, they're looking at specific ideas and strategies related to their style. So in giving constructive feedback and in any of the 5 modules, This first slide is going to be an overview and also how does DiSC handle this topic. So in this example, we'll talk about the 4 elements of feedback, your relationship to feedback, and then strategies for tailoring feedback. And that is pretty much going to be the model for all 5. Slide 2 is always a DiSC overview. Again, someone should have a general knowledge of what each of the 4 styles are, what their style is, so that it makes this process a little bit easier. Now, this is specific to my style. I have a DI style, and so what makes feedback hard for me, I might come across as too matter of fact. It's too easy for me to procrastinate giving it. And what you'll see here is you'll see some conflicting statements. So I worry about hurting people's feelings or demoralizing them, but also I might come across as too matter of fact. I have a DI style, so what you'll see is examples of both D and I in relation to giving feedback. And then you're having the team think about a time when they received or gave helpful feedback. So, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes and you're having them having them connect to what works for them and what doesn't work for them as well. Again, that's specific to my style. And then every model or all 5 modules connects DiSC with a slightly different version of the model for that topic. So, for example, I have a D style, so being direct in my feedback is probably the easiest for me. And it might be a bigger stretch to be more encouraging, to be more receptive and listen, or to be more objective and come prepared with facts and figures. Then we get into the strengths-based piece. So style is so important to giving feedback. How can you lean into those styles? So being direct allows me to promptly call out problems, communicate candidly, and I can stand firm when necessary. And then we go through a discussion. It could be a breakout group. It could be a group discussion about what is my superpower, and then how can I lean into my superpower of being direct. And then going into the next piece of, yes, there's a strength, but what happens if you overuse that strength? And then this gives some examples. So helping me look beyond direct. So I can say, what are some elements of constructive feedback from the receptive standpoint? The goal is for each of us to be stronger in all 4 areas. So if allowing me to be more receptive will mean that I can maintain an understanding, non-judgmental tone, and I'll remain open-minded when hearing someone else's perspective. So it's, okay, how can you stretch beyond what is natural and comfortable for you? And then this gives me more examples of those that don't fall within my strengths. So encouraging, receptive, and objective. And then what we're asking everyone to do is choose one feedback challenge. And then that is going to be the basis for a discussion that happens here. And then finally, making a feedback plan. So now that you've got a good foundation in feedback, let's put that knowledge to work for a specific person. And this is the part that I love the tie-in with Catalyst, because you're able to take it from something that's more a theoretical approach to something that's specific to someone that you're working with every single day. I can either enter that person's name. So if they're in Catalyst, I can type in their name, their information will come up. So it'll populate whatever style they are. Or if they're not in Catalyst, I'll be able to go through a people rating exercise to guess their style. So let's say they're more fast-paced and outspoken and accepting and warm. This will say, most likely they have an I style. Then we're moving on to how can you understand more about that style? And this again is written from the perspective of me with a DI style connecting with someone with an I style. How might I be viewing them and how might I be able to understand them more fully? So my colleague processes externally and my colleague is passionate. So I'll know that when I'm giving feedback that I'll really need to be prepared for potentially a strong response and a robust discussion. And then what I'll do here is choose the approaches that make the most sense for me, or choose the first two approaches that I'd like to try. It doesn't mean those are the only approaches you can try, but this will give me a really good starting point. So I want to be more receptive and objective. So I'm choosing make space for your colleague to show your thoughts and then follow up on progress, the objective element. And then this gives me some things to think about. So, okay, here are the two areas that I identified that I'd like to focus on. And it gives me some questions that we can have individuals think about on their own, or it could be a topic of discussion if there's time. So for me, what will be the most challenging parts of using these tactics? When and where will I give the feedback? And finally, how will I prepare for the discussion? Holding yourself accountable. So your plan will be saved to the Catalyst platform and you'll be able to go back to that plan and refer to it moving forward. So when you click on next, this is this final question of sort of a introspection. So what's one thing you've learned from someone else about the feedback that you'll carry into your job going forward? And again, a couple things to think about to wrap everything up. When you go to save and exit, you'll think, where did that go? If you go to action planning tool and you click on review saved action plans, now I'll see this action plan that I created giving constructive feedback. First and last name is NA because again, we didn't search for someone specifically. But when you click on the action plan, you will be able to see what the action plan looks like. You can print it, you can save it. And then this says, looks like you've had to guess this style, ask for them to get access. So in this case, if a learner, or let's say a leader has guessed someone's actual style, this will quickly email the admin to say, please have this person take a DiSC assessment and populate this action plan with the actual style that this person is once they've taken the assessment. So again, as you can see, a way to be able to turn something that is very theoretical into something that managers and leaders can use every single day. And again, promoting the ability for something to live within Catalyst, that everything's in one platform. They can log on and gain a lot of different ideas and knowledge without having to refer back to a PDF or to be able to refer back to their notes. So just to wrap up, WorkSmart is going to be 10 credits until the end of July. As of August 1st, it will be 20 credits for all 5. They need to be in Catalyst, and the Facilitation Kit is free. So please reach out if you have any questions or if you want to check out any of the other managing conflict or empowering your team, as they're open right now. And thank you so much.